This is the first video that I have filmed since life decided it was going to throw me for a loop at the beginning of the week. And I posted over on my community page a little bit about what had happened, and the number of messages that I got across here and Instagram from you lot was insane. And I never expected that kind of outpouring of love and support. So I have to just take a minute to say thank you to every single person that reached out. You have no idea how much that actually means. But because of what has happened, I also mentioned that right now I am not going to be finishing really the 21 in 31 challenge that I set for myself at the beginning of October. But I am going to make sure that I come back to YouTube and finish off my videos, because I love my channel. I love sitting down twice a week and being able to make videos and having conversations with you all when they go live, and the community that I built here, I wouldn't trade that. Like, it's special. I know my channel is tiny, but it is a special little community that was ready to rally around me when things kind of went wrong. So yes, I will still be uploading videos. I'm just taking time away from YouTube, and I'll be posting less on my community page and less on Instagram for the rest of the month. I just, to get my head back in the right space. And sometimes when life gives you lemons, you have to duck them and let them hit somebody else, because life is always going to try and knock you down. And the question is, are you going to let life keep you down, or are you going to get yourself back up and rally on? And that is what I'm deciding to do. And for the rest of the month, I will still be doing 3 videos based on the recommendations that you all left me that are from that challenge, including the one today. And I am still going to be putting out my recommendations list for 8 movies that you've never heard of just before Halloween. Like, my channel isn't going anywhere. I am still going to be here, but I am just going to be slightly less active until the end of October. So on to today's video and how I've decided to pick the remaining 3 videos. I basically decided to go with the ones that had been recommended to me the most over the past few months at this point, which meant that slashers from 2001 had to be one of the remaining 3 movies that I reviewed. And if you know anything about me, regardless of if you know me on or off camera, I love Japanese movies, and slashers just happens to be a hybrid of American and Japanese movies, because it's a death game where American competitors are going to fight for $1 million in a house full of maniacs. And sometimes when life kicks you down, you just need a death game, because yeah, that's Hordes' new motto. When life knocks you down, watch death games. But if you don't know anything about slashers from 2001, let me quickly fill you in. Slashers from 2001 is a death game horror comedy. Japan's #1 extreme reality show is having its first all-American special. 6 lucky contestants, chosen from thousands of applicants, will have the chance to win $1 million. All they have to do is survive the night where they'll face the slashers in a house of homicidal maniacs. If you're new here, I go by Hordes, and if you're not new, welcome back. I talk about horror movies here on my channel on Mondays and Fridays. I swear my life isn't always this chaotic. But as always, when it comes to watching movies that I have never seen before, I am now going to go and watch slashers from 2001 off camera. So that way, if you too decide that you want to watch this movie about a death game competition, nothing will be spoiled for you, because nobody wants to watch a movie that you've just watched somebody else watch from start to finish, and I keep it spoiler free here on my channel because nobody likes spoilers.
Game on.
Imagine having to halt a murder for an ad break. And who is advertising on a death game reality show? Plot-wise, I do think that this movie is just a little bit too long. And around the 55-minute mark, it does start to slow down a bit, which does affect the pacing of this. I like the beginning. I like the whole setup. You find out what the game show is. You meet the contestants. You meet the maniacs. And oh boy, do I hate Michael with every fibre of my being. The love room scene. That broom handle would have been straight in that man's eye to the point where you could have swirled his brain like a soft serve. Like, absolutely not.
Ice cream, ice cream.
Devon, though, that is the guy that you want on side. He's the nice guy who also shares my feelings about Michael. So, bonus points to Devon immediately for that point. Now, the plot is very straightforward. You get there and find out that this is the biggest jackpot that the show has ever had. It starts off at $12 million, which is crazy money. And I can absolutely see why so many applicants applied for this, because at this point you're talking anybody who is in desperate need of money or thrill seekers just looking to test their skills, they would apply for this show. I do like that the maniacs look like they are about to step straight into an episode of Scooby-Doo. Like, Mystery Inc. are going to turn up and unmask these guys at any moment. In fact, one of the killers in this does get unmasked at one point, and I do think that they got them right in this movie. Like, if you are going to be a killer in a horror movie, why not go for full-on, head-to-toe, costumed level of lunatic like they did with these three? I do question, though, why Dr. Ripper has such an obsession with chesty besties. He is like the horror version of Dr. Terry Dubrow from Botched.
If Terry is the messiah of breasts, does that make me the Moses of noses?
If I had £1 for every time that Megan either lost or changed her shirt, I would have a £5 because I counted them. I was like, this is a recurring theme. I'm going to keep track of this. 5 times that she lost her shirt or changed into somebody else's shirt where she'd lost a shirt. Like, five times. Now, out of all of the villains, Dr. Ripper is the one that feels the most like a threat. Unfortunately, the priest character isn't in this for very long. He gives a monologue when walking around a house, like, shack thing at one point, and that really is his standout moment. Chainsaw Charlie goes on a bit of a character arc at one point that I wasn't expecting, but the one that feels most like a threat is Dr. Ripper and his enormous pair of scissors. The deaths are bloody and cheesy, and they are all done practically, which is a massive selling point for me. I would rather a movie every single time take a chance and do things practically, you know, give it a solid go, than just immediately give me straight up bad CGI. And slashers, it made an effort. I can at least give the special effects team like credit for that. And the 2 moments that actually stand out to me the most in this is a death involving Dr. Ripper's enormous pair of scissors and the severed head prop that they use in this, because at one point it comes back into play as a wonderful belt charm, and if you've ever seen Lollipop Chainsaw, it was straight up Juliet from Lollipop Chainsaw. The acting is something. It is a very high school drama club, which is going to be a love or hate for a lot of people, and I completely understand that. Like, it's fine. It's very hit or miss depending on who the actor and the character is that's on screen at the time. But I have to give big props for a certain choice that this movie made, and that is to include the cameraman as an actual character in this, because it means that the cameraman has access to absolutely everywhere that the characters go. And it also means that even though you can't afford things like equipment wise like rails so that you've got these like lovely smooth sweeping shots, it gives a reason why there is this shakiness to your running shots. It means that the cameraman is constantly involved in the action, and it gives the characters a reason and an excuse to break the fourth wall and directly talk to the viewing audience or the studio audience or directly to the cameraman, which I think is such a great choice.
Very clever.
I do love a low-budget passion project, and the estimated budget for slashers is $165,000, so it is the absolute definition of a low-budget passion project, because the director also wrote this movie. And it's sad to hear that there will never be a sequel to slashers, because the director, Maurice Devereaux, has said that because of certain legal issues, this will never happen. And like I said, this is sad, because I think had this movie had a bigger budget and had the opportunity to make a sequel, it would have drastically improved the quality of this movie. But for me, the low quality goes hand in hand with this movie, and I like the cheese. I can't help it. I love a cheesy horror movie. This, for me, is like a 60-40 kind of movie. There's just a few things more that I like over the things that I dislike. So in the end, I am actually going to give Slashers from 2001 a 3 out of 5 stars. And yes, to some of you that might be quite generous, but I don't care. I love a cheesy horror movie. And the reason behind this is I think the beginning and the end are the strongest parts on this movie, but that middle section, it just messes with the pacing a little bit too much. I think that 2 out of the 3 maniacs are more developed than the other, and I think the priest, had he had a bit more screen time, or you figured out a little bit more about his backstory, and like with the other 2, you kind of know a little bit about who they are under the mask by the end of it. Not so much him. And the acting is very hit or miss, depending who is on screen. Love Devon. Michael can get in the bin.
Oh, the dumpster's here, it's here!
If you do like this movie though, my personal recommendation for you to go and watch is the movie 31, which came out in 2016 by Rob Zombie. There are quite a few similarities between these two movies, but one of them just has a slightly larger budget and is a bit more button pushy in what it is prepared to do with its assassin characters. So if you like slashers, give 31 a chance. So there you have it, my initial thoughts and my review for my first time watching Slashers from 2001. If you have also seen this movie, I would love to know what your thoughts and opinions are on it down in the comment section down below. And if this is a movie you think you might be interested in watching, as I always do, I will leave a link to justwatch.com in my description bar so you can find out where it is streaming in your country. If you would like to know where else you can find me though, I am also over on Instagram and Letterboxd at HordesOfHorror, where I have watched over 160 horror movies so far this year, so there is plenty over there that I haven't even talked about right here on YouTube. But speaking of YouTube, I will be back on Monday with another solo movie review, which is another one of the movies that you recommended me that I'm going to watch throughout October. So until next time, bye.